Tell us your first memory of mom and dad.
First memory of mom and dad's gotta be when we first moved into the house in Lincoln Avenue. I just remember the big house, and for some reason that's my first memory of them.
My first memory I can remember of mom, I was in my crib. I do remember talking to my invisible friend, my mom, coming up and telling me to be quiet and go to bed. I was going to wake up, you and Bobby, Brian and Bobby again, so. And Dad, I kind of remember when he used to, I don't know, maybe I was like 4, maybe 5. He clipped our fingernails when we were young. I mean, I'm going back as far as I can think of. I can't think of it when I was younger, and even though I hear the stories about him walking me, putting me to sleep, I don't remember any of that. That's kind of like one of my oldest memories of Dad.
My first memory of mom and dad was when we lived at Village of Pembroke Apartments. There was 5 of us in that place, and it was cramped. And then Raymond came along, so thank God we moved.
My first memory of mom and dad is just that they used to kiss every day before he went to work. Nothing big, but it was consistent.
Well, my first memory of mom, I remember sitting on the burner, I think, and I turned it on in the kitchen. Dad had kind of like a collection of memories about watching football with him in the living room and just having him scream at the TV when the Eagles are playing bad.
My first memory is, I have a few memories from probably when I was maybe 3 or 4, but I have a memory of them actually getting married at their wedding. And for whatever reason, it was a big day for me, for them really, but I knew there was something going on. I remember being in a little suit. I remember getting yelled at and being in trouble, and assuming because I wasn't doing whatever I was supposed to do at the time. Probably wanted mom, and I couldn't go to mom because they were doing wedding stuff, or something like that. But I remember that day being a big day.
Tell us a funny story about mom or dad.
Well, funny story about mom, I can remember at Kevin Murphy's house, and in the kitchen, mom and Karen Murphy were making lollipops. Now, I didn't know I just saw lollipops as a kid, so I wanted to eat, and I didn't understand why I couldn't get the lollipops to eat. Come to find out years later that they were erotic lollipops. And then Dad, funny story, I can remember being little and asking Dad, why are you black and Mommy's white?
I remember when we were young and Dad would come down in the basement and have us on our hands and knees picking up little fuzzies off the floor. We had to sit there and actually rub the carpet and pick up the fuzzies because the vacuum didn't do a good job of picking it up, and he wanted it as clean as possible. So that would definitely be one of my funniest moments I can remember.
One of my favorite silly memories of mom and dad is when mom used to work at Bell Telephone in the evening, and one night we all had to go pick her up. So my dad packed us all in the car in the station wagon, in the back, of course, where he just put the seats down and we all could roll around because forget car seats, this is the 80s. And we all put ourselves under a blanket, pretended that we were hiding and not there. And when mom got in the car, we all jumped out and yelled surprise. And we thought it was hilarious, even though she just kind of rolled her eyes.
Funny story about mom, probably not really when I was a child, more like teenager-ish. She's a problem, and one of her problems was she liked lottery tickets. Probably still does. And I think she was addicted to them, actually. And one of her things about lottery tickets was she was a little bit of a crazy lady, in that if other people bought a lottery ticket that she wanted, she pretty much wanted to kill them. And if somebody behind her bought a lottery ticket behind her, and that one actually won, they deserved to die. And they basically stole her ticket. As far as Dad funny story, I would say that we played charades, I would say 10, 15 years ago maybe, and we played charades, and Dad was trying to get us to do Jaws. So he was laying on the ground, and he was doing this on the ground. He had to do it for 5 minutes because we weren't going to stop him. So he did this for 5 minutes, and we did everything that this looks like, Pac-Man, whatever. And we couldn't even talk anymore. We were laughing too hard. And eventually we gave up. And when we asked him what it possibly could have been, he said, how could it be anything else other than Jaws?
Tell us a favorite holiday memory.
Favorite holiday memories are pretty much every Christmas and every Thanksgiving. Getting together, having a turkey, big family dinners. I just enjoyed it. All the years kind of blend together for me, though. What's that?
Favorite holiday memory would be, I have a ton, but I would think I would probably go with Halloween. When I was little, I would go out a lot with Bob. I think Mom and Dad would take the little ones out and kind of do their Lincoln Avenue thing, something like that. And me and Bobby just had to do whatever, we just come back alive, I think were the rules. And we would do the town. We would do Pond, past Pond. We would go Radcliffe to Mill to Green Lane. We would do the whole town and load up a pillowcase and drop off a pillowcase back at home and grab another pillowcase and go out and run from house. Kind of a good workout actually, and run house to house to house and get enough candy really until Easter. That was the goal.
I remember Christmas time when we used to have to hold hands around baby Jesus statue, and we would all sing Silent Night. And that was always done on Christmas Eve. And then we were allowed to open one present. And boy, if you had like 6 presents, it was tough to figure out which one, of course. And of course, I do also remember waking up on Christmas. It seemed like the crack of dawn when I was feeling well, which was only about half the time. Going downstairs and being able to look in our stockings, but that's all we were allowed to do until Mom and Dad got up, and then we had to open the presents, and Dad had to immediately get the trash bags out, and we had to throw out the wrappings as we opened them.
One of my favorite holiday memories was a tradition we had when we were little. We used to pack up presents for baby Jesus. We would wrap them. We would put them all around the table, and then baby Jesus statue in a manger was put in the middle, and we would all stand around holding hands and sing Silent Night. And I remember pretending that it was really corny, and it was, but I still remember it.
Okay, as a kid growing up, Christmas time was my absolute favorite time, and those are the memories I remember with Mom during the holidays. I remember Raymond wouldn't help, Michelle wouldn't help, but Mom wanted help with the decorations, and I was the first to jump at it. So it was the bond that I shared with Mom decorating the house, all Christmas decorations. Also, we had these ornaments that we would paint at the kitchen table. Now, Raymond and Michelle, I think, did that too. But I remember doing that. That's a good memory. And then I have another one, obviously when I was grown up now, not too long ago, is when Mom got the tickets to go to Germany. That was recently, not when we were kids. And just seeing her reaction when we gave her that present, that she got plane tickets to go see Danny and Stephanie and all of them in Germany.
Favorite holiday memory? Every Christmas, well, for a few Christmases anyway, Bobby and I would used to go up in the attic, open up our presents, and then rewrap them, so we already knew what we had. No surprise.
Tell us a story about how poor we were.
I don't think we ever really needed or wanted for anything. We always had food on the table. Lights were always on.
We were poor, and like Mom says all the time, we might have been poor, but we always had food on the table, and we did. So we were poor, we just weren't starving poor. I remember one time at Thanksgiving, we actually didn't, I guess, have enough money for Thanksgiving, so we got donations donated. And people came to the house and they brought us just crazy amounts, boxes and boxes and boxes of food. And I remember being so happy because there was all this food I could eat, and you know, I planned on eating it right away, of course. And that also was a moment, because I had to be probably maybe like 10 at that time. But I was also old enough to realize we're getting donations, we're the poor people. Another example of, I don't know if this is an example of being poor, but they would eat, and I think they still do because they're crazy people. They would basically eat cabbage and water with sausage. They call it birds. It's not a real thing. But it's basically just cabbage and sausage and water. It's the poor man's food material ever. It's not even a soup. It's just cabbage and water with some sausage thrown in. It's terrible.
I have a story. Everybody, all my friends at St. Anne's School would always get the hot pretzels. Always get them. So I got jealous. And I wanted a hot pretzel. And they were 15 cents. So I asked Mom, can I have 15 cents for a pretzel? We don't have it. Mom, it's 15 cents. I don't have it. Are you sure? It's only a dime and a nickel. I don't have a dime and a nickel. Here, look. And she gives me a purse. And she had nothing. I mean, not even 1 penny in the purse at the time.
We were so poor that we used to have credit across the street with Mazzanti's, and they used to write it on little brown paper bags how much money we owed. Well, one night I went in there to get some stuff, and Selena told me, Danny, your parents are charging way too much money. You can't charge, and tell them they can't charge anymore. So that's how poor we were.
These stories are sad. I remember spending one summer at the Fifth Ward pool basically staring into the gate because we could not afford a membership. So I would walk there with my friends, watch them all enter, put my little hands and face through the gate and watch them splash away while I sat outside and waited for them. And I'm not bitter. It's okay. It builds character.
Okay, we were poor, to say the least. I can remember asking Mom if I could have, a quarter to go across the street. She had $0 and 0 cents in her purse. It seemed like every single day of the year. We have nothing. I have nothing. Go ahead, check the purse. And I would check her purse, and it would literally be lint. It was crazy. We would have cereal for dinner. We would have pancakes for dinner sometimes, or pasta with no meat. Sometimes eggs. It was whatever we could actually scrape up and scrounge, and Mom could find to feed us. That's what we ended up eating. So I knew we were poor.
Tell us about a time when you were in trouble with Mom or Dad.
So tell me a time you were in trouble with Mom and Dad. Really? I've been writing every time I was in trouble in this book here, and I've run out of room. So maybe it'll be easier if I just tell you the times I wasn't in trouble.
Okay, I remember when I pushed Matt down the stairs. I can remember that even though I was only 2, I most certainly do remember it. I remember him yelling, him going to say, I'm going to tell Mom, and me just saying, no, you're not, and pushing him down the steps. And then I remember my mom, Mom hitting me and screaming at me, and then I was crying, and it was a big cry fest.
Okay, I can remember with Mom, I was out on the alleyway with, I think, Dave Tyrell, and I said the F word so loud, then their whole neighborhood heard it, and Mom came out, Matthew, get in here! And I came in, and she put soap in my mouth, literally, Irish Spring. I can still remember the taste. It burned. Dad, I was always in trouble a lot, so with Dad, I do remember sitting at the top of the steps of the den, so going towards the basement, and he asked me if I did my homework, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, well, let me see it. So I was like, oh, darn. And I literally said that. Put my head down and said, oh, darn, I didn't do it.
I remember going to a baseball game with Dad. Me and him went to, I think it was Phillies game. And he gave me, I want to say, $20 to go buy pretzels. And I went up there and I was so excited because I was able to go buy pretzels by myself. I had to be, I don't know, 10, 11. So I go running up to go to get these pretzels, and this guy gives me 2 big pretzels, one for me, one for Dad. And I go over, I put the mustard on the pretzels, and I run back to the seats and got back to the seats alive, so I was pretty proud of myself. And I get back there, and I'm like, hey, I'm still alive, here's 2 pretzels. And he says, where's the change? And I was like, I'm so dead right now. And all these other stories are going to be how he yelled and he did all the things. And this was one of those times where he didn't. He just said, things happen. And when I got home, Mom yelled at me like crazy because I lost the other, whatever it was, $10 or $15 out of that $20. But that was one of the moments where I was in trouble. But ironically, of all these stories you're going to hear, one time where I actually I didn't get punished or hit or anything. A better story is when I got in trouble with Mom, and I was dealing with Matt. So I think me and him got in a fight, and as I'm fighting with him, Mom comes out, and to this day, really should have been on my side. Matt was really the one trying to kill me, if you will. She comes out and actually hit me in the top of the head with a pan from the kitchen. Full whack in my head. Saw stars, blacked out. Should have called Dyfus. Didn't. And one of those moments where you're like, how did I get hit? One of those things.
I don't actually remember the specifics to what we actually did. I think it was, we were just aggravating the crap out of Mom when we were younger, and Dad had to come home. And it was me, Danny, and Brian, and I don't remember the specifics. Me and Danny got in a lot of trouble when Brian was in the bathroom. So long while me and Danny were getting yelled at that he ended up falling asleep on the toilet. I think he was actually laying with his head on the toilet when they opened the door finally to get him. That's what I remember about that.
There weren't many times growing up that I was in trouble with Dad. Everyone knows that when I was little, I could do no wrong. But when I became a teenager, all that changed. So there was one night I remember that I was out past curfew. I was supposed to be home, and I was hanging out at the Tot Lot, which is a little park by our house. And Dad was calling all my friends, driving around the neighborhood, driving past everyone's house in typical Dad style. And he came across the Tot Lot, pulled to a screeching stop, got out of the car, and started screaming for me. I was already embarrassed in front of my boyfriend and his friends. But then it got really bad when he started screaming and realizing I was with all boys. Apparently in the 1950s, that got you a really bad reputation. Sorry, Dad.
Tell us a story when a sibling was in trouble.
I remember Bobby getting in trouble a lot, and I could probably make this movie hours long if I went through all the stories. And Danny too. Those two were just in trouble. Matt was troubled more than he got in trouble. But of all the stories, I actually remember Raymond getting in trouble. We all would walk home from St. Anne's school home, 3 blocks, whatever. And one day, Raymond didn't come home. And Dad yelled at me, why didn't Raymond come home? And I wish I had a good answer. I didn't. He walked with his friends, I walked with my friends. I couldn't possibly tell you why he didn't come home, other than he got stolen. Which is what Dad immediately went to. He got stolen, murdered, all of those things. So he, I think, sent us out looking for him. So I went to Joe Mancuso's house. And I think I asked Joe Mancuso, have you seen him? I want to say maybe 15 minutes later, Raymond comes waddling home. And, like nothing's wrong. And he comes home and he got the crap beat out of him. And when he was being asked where he was, he said, well, I stopped at Chad's house on the way home. He wanted to ask me a question about a video game. And it was only supposed to take 2 seconds, and it ended up taking 10 or 15 minutes because he wanted to show me what part of the game or whatever it was. And I just remember Raymond getting in trouble. And he wasn't a real kid to ever get in trouble, but this is one of those times where he got in trouble. He got beat pretty good. It might be why I remember this, because it was probably the only time I ever really remember Raymond getting in real trouble.
I remember Michelle when she pushed me off the steps. And in spite of the amount of agonizing pain that I was in when I was on the couch, screaming in pain, I can remember Mom really, Michelle getting in a lot of trouble, and I remember Mom hitting Michelle and then Michelle crying. I can most certainly remember that. And I remember Matt one time trying to walk to Croydon with Kenny Shefsick and Chris Thompson, and one of those, I'll be back, don't tell Dad where I'm going. And then, of course, Dad goes to tell me, he starts drilling me, and I cave in, tell Matt, and Dad goes to find him, and Matt was in a lot of trouble that day. Let's just say, I'll leave it at that.
I don't know how many other people are going to reference this story, but I'm going to reflect a little bit on the night that Bobby decided to have a rager when Mom and Dad and I were over at Nana and Pop-Ups for their weekly pinochle game. So I came home, no idea that anything happened. The next day, come down to the dinner table to find in the middle of the table next to the bread and vegetables, there are several liquor bottles set up. And staged like a theatrical performance, Dad sits down at the table, we all sit down, we're all looking around the table, and Dad says, "Bobby, would you like a drink?" And Bobby smirked a little. Big mistake. Dad started smashing bottles, screaming, freaking out. It was bad. One thing I learned is don't get caught. And from that point on, I really was careful. I spackled when I had a party. I repainted a wall when I had a party. I dumped bottles in the dumpster at work. Never got caught.
I remember Danny being in trouble for this, and I think he might have been 9 or 10 years old. I remember being sick from school, and somebody had to get my homework out of my desk, and there was nudie magazines in my desk, and I have no idea at the time, what they were, but I'm pretty sure Danny had something to do with it, and I think Danny got in trouble because I think he had them in his desk too.
Okay, I remember Bobby being in trouble with alcohol. He threw one of his parties in the basement, and there was this weird smell when Mom and Dad came over from Nana's, and they were asking me about it, and at first I just said I didn't know. Of course I knew more, because I knew Bobby had some friends over and were drinking, so I eventually went downstairs and grabbed the bottle, because I knew where Bobby hid it, and I showed it to Dad, saying I saw him drinking this last night, and then, which of course Dad then, he got in trouble later when Dad at dinner time put the alcohol on the dinner table and asked Bobby if he wanted a drink.
Tell us a story when Dad acted irrationally.
I remember how ridiculous Dad would get over us playing Nerf basketball in the house. I mean, even when we were just playing by ourselves, we'd be going up and just shooting little. If he heard anything that sounded like it was, us playing ball in the house, he would just flip out. You better not be playing. We weren't harming anything. We weren't hitting walls. We were shooting a little Nerf ball through a hoop, and a little irrational in my mind.
When Dad would act irrationally, he acted irrationally a lot. A great example of that would be when we were little. We would have to go out into the backyard and pull the weeds along the fence with your bare hands. No good reason for it, really. You could get the little cutters and you could cut the weeds, the edge, the fence line along the fence, the same height as the grass like normal people would. But no, we couldn't do that. We actually had to pull like a dirt line along the edge of the fence, and I guess it looked better. All I know is it took hours and hours and hours. Thank God we have a small yard, but it still took a long time. Even with me, Bobby, Danny, even Raymond had to go out there. We would have to go out there and do it. It was slave labor is what it was.
We were out, Ray and I, in the backyard. We had to mow the grass, help Dad, and of course we weren't that happy because we didn't really like to do it. So we tried to lighten the mood with each other always and make it fun. But sometimes we didn't need each other, we just needed Dad himself. And lo and behold, we're in the back. I think we're pulling weeds by the fence, and Dad's out by the base of the driveway, and we see him pushing the mower. He's going to do the outside grass. We had a little strip of grass on the backyard near the alleyway. Then, after the grass blew into the street, he's mowing the middle of the street, and there's a guy coming down the street, of course, in a car at the same time. So he has to stop for Dad, who's mowing the street with the mower, and I saw him look at the guy driving. Oh, hold on! Which, who knows what the guy was thinking at that point. And then he came back in. So mowing the street, I think, would act as irrational.
Well, Dad just has a deep booming voice, and everything was irrational.
There were many times when Dad's outrages were founded. At least now as a parent, I can understand them a little bit more. But he did act irrationally too. And one time that I'll never forget is when we went to Sportland, and we were with Matt and Ray and myself and Dave Tyrell and Mom and Dad. And we were playing a game of pool, and I beat Matt. And because Matt is ultra competitive like the rest of us, he was pissed. And he was complaining about it on the way out. And Dad was just tired of hearing it. So he yelled at him, and that didn't stop. So then he started to come after Matt a little bit, and Matt ran. Matt ran around the parking lot, sipped the jukes on him, made him fall down in the parking lot. And then, to make it even worse, Matt started screaming child abuse at the top of his lungs. Not sure how he got out of that one alive.
Tell us a story about Mom or Dad that made you proud.
I remember when Dad took us to Baltimore to go see the Orioles play, and Jeff Manto was playing for them. I'll never forget, there was a rain delay in one of the innings, and Jeff Manto called my dad down, called Dad down to the field. Not all the way to the field, but to come right to the front row. He went all the way down. We went down, got to shake his hand, and Cal Ripken Jr. was right there having a catch with him. I just thought, that's my dad. He knows people who are on Major League Baseball teams. You know what I mean? It just, just so happy and proud of him and everything that he's done in his work field. And Mom, I guess I'm really proud for the fact that I'm proud of you for raising us. I mean, you did a great job. It wasn't easy. I know Dad worked a lot, and you had to do a lot of, 5-6 kids running around, and it was difficult, but I think we all turned out pretty good, so I'm proud of the job you did, Mom.
I don't have any individual particular moments for either Mom or Dad proud, except just their overall parenting skills is definitely evident to this day, and that's something to be admired, period.
I'm going to change this answer just a little bit to what really made me proud is really what made me most grateful for Mom and Dad. When Lincoln and Gavin were born, Mom and Dad were there, praying for us, supporting us, showing up at the house. They came over for a few hours every day so we could sleep in the beginning. And then when I was on leave, they came every day. Mom came over and rocked one and told them stories while I nursed the other. Dad came over and walked Lincoln around and around and around the house until he fell asleep. They vacuumed for me, they cleaned, they did my laundry, they did everything. And without them, I wouldn't have made it this far. And I'm proud of the mom I am now, and that's because of them.
I would say the story about Mom making you proud, it's kind of not really going to be on anyone's radar. It's a little silly. But I guess she worked out some kind of a deal that the school would keep us all in school if she became the librarian. But I'm in 2nd, 3rd grade, so I don't know any of that. All I know is that my mom was the librarian. As far as Dad, and it just hasn't changed, but since I was a little boy until even today, everybody in the world knows who he is. So I'll usually name drop him pretty much anywhere. Other parts of the world, I just drop his name just to see what happens. But anyone who asks you who you are or what you are or anything about you, I'll just say, my dad's Ray Delisio. And they'll go, oh, yes, you're okay with me. I know that guy. He's okay, you're good. And it makes you feel good when everybody knows who your dad is.
And Mom and Dad, I'm proud of just the fact that how much they've done for us. I mean, over the years, vacations they took us on, and how long hours Dad worked, and into the wee hours of the morning, and then we have to do newspapers. Mom, beat the experts. They devoted so much to us their whole lives, and so it's a general feeling. It's not one moment. It's just I'm proud of everything they did growing up. Now that I am grown and I see and I can appreciate it a lot now.
Tell us a story where Mom and Dad showed how much they care for each other.
Well, we are here for their 40th wedding anniversary, so that right there tells you a lot.
Alright, there's a specific time where I felt the connection between Mom and Dad. It's a time of loss, which is, we've had those of course, and that's the time where I would always see them care for each other the most. And I remember Nana dying, and a lot of things that went through with Mom, with Aunt Janice, and Uncle Jimmy had a seizure at the time. There was a lot of things just happening, and it was then that I felt them being closest. So in the time of, grieving and loss and trying to get over that, that's when they became, I think, they grew very close, or I witnessed it at least for the first time, and then, I started to grow up just by watching that.
Tell a story where Mom and Dad showed how much they cared for each other. Well, my answer to that is they survived 40 years of marriage, so I think that's the answer right there.
I've seen Mom and Dad numerous times, show affection for each other, kiss each other, and, you can tell that obviously they care about one another. I think Dad would be completely lost without Mom. We had an incident once where all Mom did was go to sleep, but tell Michelle to pick up Dad. And when Michelle didn't go to get Dad, because she thought Mom was going to get her, Dad thought Mom was completely lost in a ditch on the side of the road and was freaking out like it was the end of the world. He didn't realize how much she means to him. Like she's his whole world, and he thought it had ended, that she was gone, and to see how emotional he was, I realized how much he really does love her.
Despite all their bickering, it's always been really clear to me that Mom and Dad care about each other. Years ago, my mom went to great lengths to care for my grandmother, who we all know didn't have the best relationship with Mom, but it was Dad's mom, and that mattered. And so she took her in and cared for her. And Mom has always stepped up and really showed us what commitment looks like.
Who is the favorite?
I would have to say favorite child would probably be Michelle, at least certainly from Dad's perspective. It was his only daughter. She would just have to ask Dad, can we play ball? And we were allowed to play ball suddenly in the house, as long as we just, didn't break anything. He could melt her heart in a second. So I would say that definitely was Michelle. I think her mom, sometimes I think it could have been me. I don't know why. I just seemed to always win my arguments whenever I would argue or get in a fight. Mom seemed to side with me a lot. So I don't know if that was me just arguing it well, or if Mom just, if I was like her favorite. I don't know.
Michelle's got to be the favorite child. She was the one that girl for the longest time. They finally had her. Definitely Michelle.
Dad's favorite child is Michelle. Of course, only girl, baby. She got lots of stuff, and we were all jealous. But if you had to ask me, that's who I would pick. Mom, favorite child, Ray. He always seemed to get everything. I remember me and Ray were fighting all the time, so it just seemed like Ray got his way the whole time, so I always deemed Ray as the favorite child.
Favorite child? I would, if anyone doesn't say that Dad's favorite child is Michelle, I don't really think they're very perceptive. Michelle is by far Dad's favorite. As far as Mom's favorite, I think hands down it's me. If it's not, it should be.
I don't really think Mom and Dad have a favorite. I do think that Mom has a special bond with Bobby because she knew him longer and they spent all that time together before the rest of us were born, but they don't have a favorite. I mean, why would they? We're all equally awesome.
And finally, in summary,
Mom, Dad, thanks for raising me. I love you both.
Mom and Dad, this movie is killing me. But I want you to have it. And I wanted everyone to take some time out of their lives to make this for you. I love you guys so much.
Mom, Dad, I love you very much. I can honestly say I'm so proud that you are my parents. I appreciate everything you've ever done for me.
Mom and Dad, I love you so much.
I love you.
We love you, Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad, love you.
Love you guys. Happy anniversary.
I love you, Mama and Papa.
Hey, Mama and Papa, I love you very much. Happy anniversary.
I love you, Mama and Papa.
I love you, Mama. I love you, Papa. I love you, Mama. I love you, Papa. I love you, Mama and Papa. I love you, Mom and Papa. Mama and Papa.